I just saw it. I can't believe it. Please, just call me back. I need to know you're okay. Please.
That was the third voicemail I got that morning. All from people I'd known for years, all of them in tears. I had no idea why they were so distraught until I saw what they saw. Someone had published my obituary. But I wasn't dead. And this wasn't some clerical error. This was the start of a nightmare orchestrated by a digital stalker who was trying to erase me from existence. It was a Tuesday, and like most Tuesdays, it started out completely, painfully normal. The alarm went off at 6:30. I hit snooze twice and finally pulled myself out of bed for the familiar ritual of grinding coffee beans. The sun was just starting to spill into my little apartment kitchen, casting long shadows from the houseplants on the sill. It was peaceful. The biggest thing on my mind was a project deadline and what to make for dinner. While the coffee brewed, I remember scrolling through my phone, liking a friend's vacation photo, deleting a dozen spam emails. It was all so beautifully, forgettably mundane. The first call came at 9:15 a.m., my friend Anna from college. I smiled when her name popped up, expecting a funny story about her kids or a plan for the weekend. I answered, "Hey, what's up?" Nothing. Then, a choked sob. My smile slid right off my face. "Anna, are you okay? What happened?" Her voice was a thick, tear-filled whisper. "I'm so sorry," she managed between gasps. I just don't know what to say. I can't believe it." My mind raced. Her husband, her parents. "Anna, you have to talk to me. What's going on?" "It's you," she cried, and my confusion turned to ice. "I saw the post. Oh God, how could this happen?" A flicker of irritation sparked under my fear. "What post? What are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm literally standing in my kitchen." But she was inconsolable, trapped in her grief. The conversation was a nightmarish loop of her crying and me begging for a straight answer. She just kept saying my name, saying how sorry she was for my family. Finally, she just whispered, "I have to go," and hung up. I was left in stunned silence, my heart hammering against my ribs, just staring at my phone. Was this a prank? A wrong number? Before I could even really think, it buzzed again. Mark, another old friend. I answered instantly. "Mark, the weirdest thing just happened with Anna." "I know," he cut in, his voice strained. "I saw it too, man. I'm just floored. I'm so sorry." That's when the dread started to curdle in my stomach. This wasn't a mistake. Not if two friends were having the same heartbroken reaction. Something was out there. Something about me. My hands were shaking when a third call came in from my old roommate, Chloe. I didn't answer. I couldn't take another one of those calls. A second later, a text from her popped up. It was just a link, nothing else. I hesitated. 1,000 horrible scenarios flashing through my mind. Had I been doxxed? Was some awful rumor going around? Taking a deep breath, I tapped the screen. The page loaded, and there it was. A memorial website, charcoal grey background, elegant white font. At the top of the page was my name, and under my name was my photo. A good one, taken by my sister last summer at a barbecue. I'm smiling, squinting a little into the sun. Below the photo, the words, "In loving memory of," followed by my birthday and a date of death. From 2 days ago. The air just left my lungs. It was like getting punched in the chest. Seeing your own face on an obituary is an experience I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's this profound, surreal disconnect from reality. Here I am, sitting in my apartment, my coffee still warm, My heart's still beating, but my phone is telling me that I'm dead. The page was filled with details about my life, my school, my job, my parents' and sisters' names, all of it correct, terrifyingly correct. At the bottom, a digital guest book invited people to leave a memory. Someone already had. A light gone too soon. Rest in peace. My first real thought wasn't fear. It was anger. This has to be a sick prank or a colossal screw-up. My brain just refused to go to a dark place, desperately looking for a rational answer. This was too weird. It had to be a technical error. I vaguely remembered reading a story about a woman who had this happen to her. Her obituary was published by mistake because of an error by a company that aggregates public announcements. I clung to that idea like a life raft. That had to be it. I was recently mentioned in a small online trade journal for a work project. Maybe some automated system scraped the data wrong, confusing a business announcement with an obituary. It seemed possible. It was the only story that didn't make me feel like I was losing my mind. Fueled by adrenaline, I went into problem-solving mode. First step, contact the website. I found their Contact Us page and hammered out an email. You are hosting an obituary for me. I am not deceased. Please remove this immediately. This is causing extreme distress to my friends and family. I hit send, and I don't know what I expected. An instant apology. The page to just vanish. An hour later, a sterile, automated response landed in my inbox. Thank you for contacting us. Our memorial pages are populated with information provided by our official publishing partners. If you believe there is an error, please contact the originating publication. It then named the source, a small, local news outlet from a town 3 states away that I'd never even heard of. This was getting more frustrating. I was caught in a bureaucratic loop of automated systems. I found the website for this obscure outlet. It looked barely legitimate. I found a number and called. A bored-sounding woman answered. I explained the situation, my voice shaking with anger I was trying to suppress. She was quiet for a second. That's weird, she said. I heard her typing. Okay, I see the submission, she said, her tone still completely flat. It came in through our online community portal 2 days ago. Anyone can submit a notice, they just fill out the form. But you didn't verify it? I asked, my voice getting louder. You don't check if the person is actually dead? Sir, we get dozens of submissions a day, she said, a new edge of annoyance in her voice. We're a small operation. We assume good faith I can take it down for you. And just like that, she offered to fix it. A moment later, the link was dead. A wave of relief washed over me that was so intense it made me dizzy. It was over. A random, idiotic mistake made worse by the internet's carelessness. Feeling confident again, I went on social media. I tried to make a joke of it, posting a picture of myself holding a newspaper with the current date, Mark Twain style. The caption read, "Well, this is awkward. Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. I'm alive and well. Sorry to everyone freaked out by a bizarre internet glitch this morning." The comments flooded in with relief and jokes. I spent the rest of the day reassuring people I was fine, laughing it off. The whole thing turned into a crazy story, a piece of dark, modern trivia about my life. The fear was gone, replaced by the comforting idea that the nightmare was over. I'd been digitally killed and resurrected in a single morning, but that comfort was a fragile illusion, and it was about to be shattered. For 2 days, life was normal again. The incident faded into a crazy story to tell at parties. I went back to work, focusing on my project, and tried to forget the sick feeling of seeing my own death notice. Then, Thursday evening, my phone buzzed. A message from Anna. "It's back," she wrote. "Different website." My blood ran cold. She sent a new link. A different memorial site, this one more amateurish, but the content was the same. My photo, my name, my fake death date. This wasn't a glitch. Glitches happen once. Glitches get fixed. This was deliberate. I went through the motions again, sending a frantic email to the new site. They took it down within a few hours, no questions asked. But the next morning, there were two more. Two new obituaries on two completely different websites. It was a game of digital whack-a-mole, and for everyone I knocked down, two more popped up. That feeling of control I had was gone, replaced by a terrifying powerlessness. And then, it got worse. The content started changing. The first obituary had been factual, like it was scraped from my LinkedIn. These were different. They were personal. One of them mentioned my childhood nickname, Goose, something only my family and oldest friends knew. It came from a silly story when I was 5. It didn't exist anywhere online. Another obituary described my passion for collecting antique maps. I do collect them. It's a quiet hobby. I have 3 hanging in my bedroom. I've never posted about it. I've never mentioned it to anyone but my closest friends. How could they know that? The cause of death also started to change. The first was vague. Now they were specific and cruel. A tragic accident at home. A short but brave battle with a sudden illness. Each one was a sharp, psychological jab, designed to feel just plausible enough. Then the attack jumped past the obituaries. My friends started getting messages from anonymous social media profiles created just days before. They would comment on old photos of me, saying things like, "Such a beautiful memory. I miss him every day." A few friends got DMs with links to articles on coping with sudden loss. The final wall came down when an email was sent to my boss and our head of HR. The subject line was in memoriam. The email read, "I was so saddened to hear of the passing of one of your employees. He was a wonderful person. My deepest condolences to your team." Below the text was a link to one of the active obituaries. I was called into an emergency meeting. The conference room was freezing, or maybe it was just me, sweating cold under the fluorescent lights while I tried to explain why I wasn't dead. I felt humiliated, unhinged. As I was talking, I could see the pity and confusion in his eyes. How do you explain a situation like that without sounding like you've completely lost your mind? That's when I finally understood. This was more than doxing. Doxing is just releasing information. This person was taking my information, public and somehow private, and building a weapon out of it. They were systematically dismantling my social and professional life, trying to create a version of reality where I just didn't exist. The paranoia was constant. Every phone notification made me flinch. I started picking apart every past interaction, every friendship. Who could hate me this much? What did I do to deserve this? My digital self had been hijacked and murdered, and now its ghost was haunting my real life, and I had no idea how to make it stop. I couldn't live like this. Just reporting the pages as they appeared was a losing battle. Whoever was doing this was relentless. I thought about the police, but what would I even say? Someone is posting fake obituaries about me. I could already picture the skeptical looks, the report getting filed away as a low-priority prank. I needed evidence. I needed a name. I had to become my own detective. My world shrank to the size of my laptop screen. I became obsessed. I started by making a list of potential suspects, which felt like something out of a movie. Who would want to erase me? First, I thought of a nightmare client, the kind who refuses to pay and leaves nasty reviews. I stayed up all night digging through his online mess. Plausible, but no link. Dead end. Next, I suspected my ex, Sarah. She'd been angry after the breakup, but her life online looked normal. A mutual friend said she was moving on. It didn't fit. I crossed her off and felt even more lost. Weeks went by. The obituaries kept coming. I was losing my mind, chasing shadows. I was on the verge of just giving up, of deleting everything and trying to disappear myself before the stalker could do it for me. And then he made a mistake. A new obituary appeared on some hastily made blog, and the photo was different. It wasn't a public profile picture. It was a selfie, a blurry, poorly lit photo of me in a hotel room making a silly face. I stared at it, my blood turning to ice. I knew that photo. I remembered taking it. It was from a work trip about 18 months ago. I was bored and I sent it to exactly one person. My fingers trembled as I frantically scrolled through the archives of an old messaging app. Back, a year and a half. My heart pounded with each swipe. And then I found it. A short conversation with a guy named Alex. We'd matched on a dating app, chatted for a couple of weeks. His messages had been intense, a little too eager, and I got a weird vibe. So I did what people do. I ghosted him. I just stopped replying. It felt a little rude, but harmless. He lived hundreds of miles away. I never thought about him again. Until now. I looked at his old profile picture. I looked at his username, AlexStorm88. It was generic, but then I started thinking. The anonymous accounts that messaged my friends. One was SilentStorm22. Another was Thunderstrikes88. The storm theme. The number 88. It had to be him. A quick search for AlexStorm88 opened up a terrifying new rabbit hole. I found him on a niche gaming forum, then on a men's rights subreddit. His post history was a cesspool of rage, mostly aimed at women who had wronged him. He wrote about being disrespected, ignored, and erased by people he'd tried to date online. And then I found it. The post that made my stomach drop. It was from 2 months ago, right when the first obituary appeared. He didn't use my name, just called me the designer. He wrote, "This designer I was talking to thought he could just ghost me, erase me like I was nothing. He thinks he can just delete a conversation and I'll disappear. Well, I'm going to show him what it really feels like to be erased. I'm going to delete him from the internet. I'm going to make him a digital ghost." I felt a wave of nausea, the pettiness of it all, the sheer pathological disproportionality. This wasn't about a broken heart or a business dispute. This was a stranger I'd exchanged a few dozen messages with, who decided that being ghosted was a crime punishable by the complete destruction of my life. This was the man trying to make me disappear. I had it, the proof, the forum posts, the username patterns, the photo he shouldn't have had. It all pointed to this stranger, Alex. But what now? Go to the police? Presenting a folder of screenshots about dating apps and subreddit forums to a skeptical officer still felt like a recipe for dismissal. I was holding the key to my own prison, but I didn't know which door it unlocked. For a day I did nothing. I just sat with it, his profile open on my screen, reading his posts over and over. I was trying to understand a mindset so consumed by rage over such a minor slight, but I realized I never could. Then, The fear started to curdle into a cold, hard anger. He had taken my peace, my security, my identity. He'd done it all from the safety of his keyboard, hundreds of miles away, convinced he was some righteous avenger. He felt untouchable. I decided I had to change that. It was a huge risk. Every expert would say never to engage, but I felt like I had no other option. I needed him to show his hand in a way that was undeniable. I created a new anonymous email and a new anonymous account on the forum where he was most active. I found his post about the designer. With my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, I replied. 5 words. I know what you're doing. I shut my laptop, certain he'd ignore it. But 10 minutes later, a notification. A private message on the forum. It was from Alex Storms88. His message was a digital explosion of rage, a stream of profanity, threats, and triumphant bragging. You have no idea who you're messing with, he wrote. He deserved it. He thought he was better than me, thought he could just throw me away. People like that need to be taught a lesson. They need to be put in their place. I replied simply, "You're a coward." That's what broke him. His response was instant. He sent another photo of me, one I'd never seen. It looked like it was taken from a distance of me walking down the street. It must have been scraped from a tagged photo on some friend's old public account. The message was clear. I have been watching you for a long time. I have archives of your life. Then came the final chilling message. I'm going to make sure you're nothing but a 404 error, a deleted account, a ghost in the machine. By the time I'm done, everyone you know will have forgotten you were ever alive. I had him. The admission, the direct threats, all of it. My hands were slick with sweat, the keys slippery under my fingers as I screenshotted every word. My heart pounded so loud I couldn't hear the quiet hum of my laptop anymore. My hands were shaking, but not from fear anymore. It was a grim sort of victory. The digital confrontation was over. Now, the real world one could start. The next day, I walked into a police station with a digital folder full of evidence. Every obituary link, the emails to my boss, the messages to my friends, and the crown jewel, printouts of Alex's forum posts and our entire private message exchange. The first officer I spoke to was patient but skeptical. The phrase online harassment usually brings to mind teenage drama, not something like this. I felt that familiar hopelessness creeping back in. But then he called in a detective from their cybercrime unit. She was different. She listened, her expression serious, as I laid out the whole timeline. She understood the terminology, the psychological impact. She saw the clear pattern. When I showed her the final message, "I'm going to make you a digital ghost," she nodded. "This," she said, "is a direct and credible threat." An official investigation was launched. With my evidence, they worked with the forum to get Alex's real information and IP address, which placed him exactly where I thought. A restraining order was filed, legally barring him from contacting me or posting about me in any way. Almost overnight it stopped. The obituaries vanished and stayed gone. The messages ended. The silence was deafeningly beautiful. But you don't walk away from something like that completely whole. The threat was gone, but the echoes remain. I live my life online very differently now. All my social media is locked down. I have Google alerts on my own name. I am intensely cautious about who I share information with. The casual trust I had in the internet is gone for good. There were hard conversations with my family and friends. There's a lingering sense of violation, a deep anger that someone could cause so much pain over something so trivial. Reclaiming my identity wasn't just about taking down websites. It was about rebuilding my own sense of safety in a world where a stranger can try to delete you with a few keystrokes. My story is an extreme case, but digital harassment and stalking are terrifyingly common. We live so much of our lives online, and we forget how vulnerable that makes us. Be mindful of your digital footprint, use your privacy settings, and be careful what you share, even in a seemingly harmless chat. Your online identity is part of you. It deserves to be protected. If you've ever experienced anything like this, please know that you're not alone. The feeling of isolation is one of the worst parts of it, and it's what these people count on. And if stories that explore the dark corners of our digital world are important to you, consider liking and subscribing. Someone tried to erase me. They used the tools meant to connect us to isolate and destroy my identity. They turned my life into a weapon against me. But they failed. They failed because our existence is more than just data on a server. It's in the connections we have with people who love us, our actions in the real world, and our own resilience. I fought to get my name back, to get my life back. It was a nightmare, but I woke up, and I'm still here.